Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. It is CoachFury here today, and we are back, the latest episode of our Draft Day Sports Pro Basketball 21 Let's Play series with the Chicago Bulls. And well, what a season it has been. It's been phenomenal. We've performed absolutely amazingly in the regular season, and we've got to the playoffs, and well, we haven't necessarily made it easy for ourselves in the playoffs. But we are in a situation now where, for those of you who've been following along, we are in the NBA Finals. And for the first time ever, this Chicago Bulls team is just 4 wins away from taking the title. But there is, of course, a team that stands in our way of taking that championship crown, and that is none other than the Utah Jazz, the #1 seed in the Western Conference against the #1 seed in the Eastern Conference. It is a battle of the best. And should we try and break down a little bit and have a little look at this Jazz team before we start this episode and before we start this series? Let's take a look and just see exactly what we are up against, how they've got to where they are, and what we're thinking in terms of our game planning. So if we go over to the Jazz roster, you will see immediately there's a big thing that's standing out, and that is that Mr. Donovan Mitchell, their star scorer, is out for 10 days. So he has been the driving force behind this Jazz team this year, it's fair to say. 33 points per game. He is just a scoring machine. And to have him out for 10 days is going to be a massive, massive blow for this Utah Jazz team. So, in one respect, that's going to be interesting. But you'll also probably see that there is another player that is of interest. And that is none other than Eric Bledsoe. So, for those who've been following the series along from Season 1, we'll know that we made a trade, I think it was around about Season 2, maybe Season 1 actually, to bring Eric Bledsoe into the Chicago Bulls. We took on his contract for a first round pick. We essentially utilised him as a point guard for the first season and second season and a bit. And then we decided to move him on because he was starting to decline. We wanted more of a natural sort of passing point guard to kind of go in there. His shooting numbers were not great. And well, in a really random coincidence, I guess, he was obviously traded with us in the off season, and then he has ended up back ended up in Utah as part of a package to essentially give Utah a first round pick. Celtics essentially dumped Eric Bledsoe and a first round pick to get him his salary off the books and take a punt on Jordan Clarkson. So this Eric Bledsoe is now in the Jazz. He's not quite the Eric Bledsoe that we had. He has definitely declined a bit. His passing is nowhere near the level that it was when he was with us, but he's still a pretty good starting point guard, for a team, and it's no doubt that he's going to start for them. They also obviously have, when we're looking at other stars across the team, their front court is pretty interesting when it's going up against ours. So if you think of our Chicago Bulls front court, we are very much a young, dynamic, scoring front court. The Jazz are the complete opposite of that. They are a young. Well, they've got one young player in Onyenka, who is a good defensive forward, and they've also got Rudy Gobert, who is a really, probably one of the league's best defensive centers, to be honest. So it's really much an offense against defense front court matchup that we've got to deal with here. Outside of that, they've got some interesting players. I mean, Spencer Dinwiddie is an interesting player. He's just an atrocious shooter. He starts for them, he puts points up, but he's a bit of a chucker. And then it looks like DeAndre Hunter is probably going to be the stand-in guy for the likes of Mitchell in this series. And he's not a bad player, actually, looking at him. He's got an okay shot. He plays okayish defense, but he's not exactly an elite player. So when you look at the insights of this Jazz team, how have they got to this finals? How are they the #1 team in the Western Conference? And it's just simply because their defense is so good. They are the #1 ranked defense in the league, both in points allowed and in defensive rating. And it's pretty much because they just play good fundamental defense. They block shots. They basically make it very hard to score points on them. So we've got the #1 defensive rating against us, the #1 offensive rating team. So this is going to be a really, really enticing matchup. If this was in real life and this series was being played out, it would be one of those series of the ages because it's really an offenses versus defense type of game. So taking that into account, for us, how are we going to play against this Jazz team? It's clear that they have lost their main scorer, so their actual offense is probably going to suffer a little bit. But in the same sense, they're probably going to rely on that front court to probably do a bit of damage for them that they probably wouldn't rely on in normal times. So, in terms of our strategy, you'll see I've changed the strategy up to be passive. I am basically going to force them to take long-range shots. I don't feel they have the shooting to be able to cope with that. So we're going to basically stop drives, stop entry passes, stop all those types of shots and see how we get on. And we do have a little caveat in terms of our deficiencies for this game. We have Brandon Clark unfortunately suffered an injury in our Eastern Conference Finals game against the Bucks. He is out for 12 days, which is probably the length of this series, I would imagine, unless something miraculous happens. So we've had to do a bit of rejigging. And in the sense of that, our front court is now Carter Jr., Jackson Jr. So Carter Jr. has come off the bench, that sort of 30-plus minute bench player that he was for most of the season. And it means that Williams, our sort of rookie from a couple of seasons ago when we started this Let's Play, he is coming in and he's going to play some power forward and small forward minutes. And it means that Leonard is going to play a huge amount of minutes. We're going to put him down to 60. We need him to basically come in, play a huge amount of minutes in this series. And Birch, likewise, is going to have to play some minutes off the bench when he normally wouldn't. So, that's how we're going to play. We're going to see how this goes. Fingers crossed that we manage to pull off this win and take the championship. It's going to be a real tough series. A lot of it's going to be about whether we can do the damage before Mitchell comes back. I think if Mitchell comes back and the Jazz hang on in the series until then we could be in a bit of trouble, because I don't think Clark is going to be back in time just because of those 2-day difference that they've got in terms of injuries. So, as usual, guys, if we get to a crucial crunch game, we'll sim it through live and have a look. But until then, we're going to obviously do a bit of fast simming. So we're at home in game 1. Let's see how we get on. And we managed to pull off the win in the first game. Let's go and have a look at that result. We pretty much blew them out in this one. No surprise. Points in the paint. We managed to put up 66 points in the paint and do the damage there. Looking across, I would say Wendell Carter Jr. had a phenomenal game. 26 points, 18 rebounds, 3 assists. I mean, can't go wrong with that. We shot really well actually from downtown and from inside, and we got some really good second chance points. We are winning that rebound battle, it looks like, as well, which is so crucial. Looking elsewhere, Williams had a good night off the bench, 4 of 6. He's definitely a much better power forward than he is a centre, in my opinion. So that's something we've mentioned during the regular season. I think something we'll probably try and utilise in next season if we carry on. So I think it's fair to say that we had a good performance. On the Jazz side, yeah, we essentially shut them down. Oyenka's having to put up shots. He's not doing very well. Same with Hunter. They are really struggling with their shot. 35% is not going to win them many games. So we go on to game 2. At home, can we hold home court? We can, with just a narrow 2-point win. Wow, okay, so they came back strong in that second game. Definitely, yep, look, much better in terms of point in the paint. They were much better performance. Looking across the piece, Payne had a very good night off the bench. But Elfrid Payton surprisingly stepped up for us. A really good night for him. 24 points, 8 assists, 10 rebounds. Their shot came back in terms of the Jazz. We struggled a little bit from 3-point line. Leonard having a struggling sort of shooting night there. But we got the win. We managed to hold home court, which was really important. So I'm not going to change anything for this next game. Despite them coming back to within 2 points, we'll see how we do on the road. Against the Jazz, can we win game 3? We can, just by 3 points. Ouch. This is a close series now. They're tightening up with us. And Kawhi Leonard, our 5-star player, has come through trumps in this game 3. He has put up 28 points off of some good shooting, 9 of 15. Really doing well, grabbing 6 assists, 8 rebounds and 3 steals, certainly putting up the numbers that we need. Looking elsewhere across our team, it's fair to say the bench struggled in this one. McConnell and White were not too bad actually. White shooting numbers look pretty patchy at times, but the rest of the team came through pretty well. Across looking at the Jazz, it looks like they reverted to going to outside. The front court 2 of Gobert and Onyenka not getting shots in this one. Oyenka getting into foul trouble as well, which probably didn't help the situation. Bledsoe had a better night, 6 of 13, but D Widdy 7 of 20. If you've got a guy shooting like that, you're not going to win many games. So that means that we get to a Game 4 possible sweep of the Utah Jazz early on in the series. We have Clark is still out for 5 days, so he's probably not going to be back anytime soon. Let's go in, and I don't think we're going to change anything. We've been rolling. We'll keep it as is, as they say. If it's working, don't change it. So we're going to go into a Game 4 possible opportunity here to sweep the Utah Jazz in the NBA Championship Finals. Let's dive in and watch this game. So the key thing is that Donovan Mitchell is still not back. He's still got a few days to come back. So the Jazz have got to hang on here in terms of the series. For us, this is a great opportunity to just walk away from this one early. So let's kick off the series, this game, and see how we get on. On the road against the Jazz, it's going to be tough. They are certainly, even without Mitchell, they've proven that they can to come neck and neck with us in the past couple of games. They have been very, very tight results. So they're probably hoping that they finally can get a result over us at home and stretch the series out just to one more game, really, as they take a little bit of a lead in this one. It looks like Hunter's having a pretty good night, 2 of 3. Their shooting numbers are much, much better early on in this one. But it's been a pretty neck and neck so far. We're hanging in there. That's the main thing. We've got to hang in there. Our bench rotation has come in now. So has theirs, to be fair. But they're leaving the front court in a lot of the time. So whether that's going to tire them out or not, I don't know. As we take a slim lead here in the first quarter. And as soon as I say that, they peg us straight back. So we'll see how this goes. Their shooting numbers are definitely better. They're putting up a bit of a fight now. For me, I mean, if I was the Jazz coach and GM, I would basically take D Widdy out of the lineup. I just think his shooting is just putting them off, and probably give Cameron Payne more minutes because it looks like he's having a good result against Payton. That would be a matchup I would look to exploit. As we start to take a bit of a lead here in this second quarter now, looks like we are just basically starting to pound the ball inside, get the shots that we need, and to take a little bit of a lead. Hopefully we can take that into the second half. We'll see how we get on. But yeah, it looks like Payne's dropped into the shooting guard role now, and Bledsoe's come back in. Looks like we've stretched the gap out now to double digits. Our shooting numbers are still looking very good. It looks like they're struggling to slow us down on the offensive side as we put up plus 50 points in the half, and we held them just to 39 points, which is crucial. And it looks like, as you can see there, it has been points in the paint has been the deciding factor in this one. Looking across the board, I can see that they've got a little bit more of a challenging foul situation than we have. Oyinka probably being out there 19 minutes with 3 fouls is an issue. D Widdy only 10 minutes with 3 fouls has been a challenge for them, but I'd actually probably say that's been a beneficial thing. But we will see. We are now 1/2 away from winning the NBA championship with this Chicago Bulls team. Let's see how we get on. Can we hold this lead that we've got and come away and sweep in the NBA Finals? I mean, Payton's having a tough night for us, but Leonard has certainly stepped up. He's now got 18 points. 5 of 10 shooting has been really, really good for us in terms of that perspective. Leonard earning his paycheck now at this moment in time. As we cruise out now to a plus 20 point lead against this Jazz team, and they are certainly struggling now. Hunter has probably been the shining light of this team in this game so far. 3 of 6, 4 of 7 now, 10 points. Better performance than most of the rest of the team. I think the difficult thing you've got with the Jazz team that obviously runs Gobert a lot is that you're not going to get points out of him. So you've got to get points out of the other 4 guys. And if they're not efficient and not providing it, then they're going to struggle. As Leonard puts up 20 points now, and we are still holding on here. They cut the gap back down to 10 points though against us. So lead is now cut to 4. Oh my goodness me. They're coming back. 2 points is the gap now. We're just going to pause it down here. I think 8 minutes to go. We'll just slow it down a little bit. The gap is 6. We'll see what happens. Might just put out just a little tick. We'll slow it down a little bit. But 6 points is the gap. We are now 8 minutes away from possibly taking the NBA championship here. As we move in, now the gap is 4. We've stretched it back out to 7 with a great shot there from Jackson Jr. And we are now closing in now just under 6 minutes nearly to go now, and the gap has been stretched back out now to 9 points. I'll probably just speed it up just a little bit. We'll get to 4-minute mark and then we'll probably slow it down. But it looks like we've started to exercise a little bit of a lead here. The gap has been cut to, well, we say it's been cut to 9. It hasn't now. It's now an 11-point lead. But we will slow it down. We've got 4 minutes and 30 to go. We'll watch it out. 11 points lead. It's going to take a bit of a miracle from the Jazz to come back on this one with 4 minutes to go. But it is possible. They need a stop and they need to hit some shots. Eric Bledsoe grabs the rebound there. They dish the ball in to Gobert. I'm guessing there's a foul there. The shot's up. It's missed. Carter grabs it. 3.5 minutes away from the NBA championship. And we have just got to see out time now, make good shots. And there's a kick violation, so we get the ball back. 3 minutes to go. We've just got to basically use the time up, make good shots. Not like that. Gobert grabs the rebound. We don't get it off there. 11-point gap now, though. The time is running out for this Jazz team. They cut the lead to 8, though. And we have got to run the clock down here. Make a good shot. Good dish in there. Good drive by Wendell Carter Jr. Makes it happen. 10 points now is the lead. 2 minutes to go. We are 2 minutes away, guys, from an NBA championship with this Bulls team. As we run down, we're holding on. Oh, and there's a turnover. And they drive straight out. Kick it out. Hit in. And DeAndre Hunter makes it. So the gap is now 6. We've now got a minute and a bit to go. Hopefully we can hang on here. Run the clock down as much as we physically can. We drive in. Gobert grabs the block. Oh, a minute to go. They make it. It's now a 4-point game and we are in foul territory. We are going to cut this down just a little bit slower because that's going a little bit too fast for me to commentate on. 6 minutes to go. We foul. Fouls up. 4-point game. We are immediately into shots. We hit the shots. 6 points in it. They've got to hit something here from outside beyond the arc. They take an inside shot, which is surprising. Foul us immediately. I think that's going to do it. 6-point game. They've got to hit a shot from outside and hope that we can miss. We grab down that rebound and the clock is running out. They foul us immediately. 8-point game now. I think it's all over, guys. But we will just see how this goes. We grab the rebound down. 15 seconds left. They're not going to foul us anymore. The Chicago Bulls have won the NBA championship. We have done it. We win by 8. We have done it. Elfrid Payton, player of the game in this one. 20, 10 and 8. Who would have thought that? Wow. Fantastic. We have swept the Utah Jazz in the NBA Finals. I am going to save this right now, guys, to make sure that we don't get any sort of crash. Okay, I'm not sure why this is flashing a lot. Okay, because we pushed onto the lottery. That's fine. But we have done it. We have won the NBA Championship Finals with this Chicago Bulls side. We have fully rebuilt them from the ground up. We got it. We swept the Jazz in the finals. We came through. We had a tough matchup against the Hawks, our nemesis from last year. We got the job done. 76ers ran us a little bit tighter than I thought they were going to when we were 3-0 up in that series, but we got it done. And the Bucks nearly came back and gave us a bit of a challenge in the Eastern Conference Finals. But we had a little bit too much for them in this one. I'm going to advance the draft lottery because I want to see the awards and see how that goes. We will just quickly run through this. I'm not going to talk about this too much. But let's have a look at the awards. Have we got any players on the awards list? So, NBA, individual awards. We have absolutely nobody. We didn't win Coach of the Year despite winning 60 plus games. Bucks won it. Okay, that's really disappointing. In the first team, do we have anyone? We do not. Okay, on the second team, do we have anyone? We have Brandon Clark, who has made the second team. Absolutely, I completely agree with that. Had a phenomenal season, 23.7.8 rebounds per game is a good stat to have. On the third team, we have absolutely no one. Defensive first team, we have nobody. Defensive second team, we have nobody. Okay, we don't have any rookies really that are playing for us, so I'm not going to look into that. So we've been completely dissed at the awards process, but I don't care. We have won the NBA championship. We have completed it with the Chicago Bulls. We come away in our 3rd season with that championship crown, sweeping the Utah Jazz. Fantastic, fantastic achievement. I will just say that this is just incredible. We've done it. And this is the team that has won it for us. Really, really good performances. Elfrid Payton, our starting point guard, basically a point first player. Really, really played well in the series. Then we've got the likes of Trent Jr. as a sort of first off season signing. Great shooting numbers. Has really performed to expectation in terms of shooting abilities. But I would say probably the biggest thing that's helped us this year is bringing this man in. He has enabled us to basically run a much deeper rotation. He's put up some really, really strong numbers for us. Basically, despite having slightly less minutes, his numbers have still been pretty good for us. Kawhi Leonard has certainly been the 5-star player that we really wanted him to be. And then we've basically had our first season trades of Brandon Clark and the likes of Wendell Carter Jr. and obviously Jaren Jackson. Those three, basically running that front court for us for this time have been phenomenal, and that's essentially what we've relied on for this team. So that brings us to a close of this Chicago Bulls season. We have won the NBA championship. We have finally done it. We have taken a Bulls rebuilding team from the modern era, and in just 3 short seasons have turned them round to be a championship winner. What a fantastic achievement. It's been great to have this series and follow along. What do you guys think? Who has been the main star? What has been the main catalyst for this team from going from we were a .500 team in the first season to being an NBA championship team? I'm really interested to hear your thoughts in that. Do you guys want me to carry on and try and retain the title in this next season? Or do we start a new series? I'm interested if you've got a team or an era you want me to try and play through. Welcome all your feedback, but I'm really so happy that we have taken this Bulls side from being what you class as a rebuilding team in the modern era to being a champion. It's been great to follow it along. It's been a hell of a ride. Really tough at times to try and get performance out of this team, but we have done it. All of our trades, free agency signings have all worked in the end, and we've got to the pinnacle of the NBA. And well, we'll see what happens. Either we come back with another season of the Chicago Bulls, or we start a new series. Let's hear your thoughts, hear your feedback, and we'll go from there. And as always, guys, if you enjoyed the episode, hit that like button and the subscribe button, because whatever happens next, you'll be notified of the next series or of another season of the Chicago Bulls side. It's been great to follow it along, and we'll see what happens next time on the channel.